You have your share. If not, John, it's your backup.
We ready to start?
I can't hear you.
Oh, can you guys hear me now?
I can't quite hear you, Robert. You're unmuted.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Do you have a speaker? Nothing is muted on this side.
No. Are you guys able to hear me?
Huh?
Hey, Brett, I know you're on. Can you speak and just we're testing the sound system again?
Yeah, sorry, I can faintly hear.
Yeah, because this is.
Follow my. I can hear you, but seems that you guys still can't hear me.
He should be able to.
Nate, can you test your calling?
One, two, three. Aloha.
See if you're trying to speak. We can't hear you. We're just testing.
Testing Nate's audio. Testing
Yeah,
Nate's audio.
let's see.
1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
Should be seeing this headphone.
Let's try speaker or exit.
Yeah, both. Let's try that. Yes. Speaker.
Hey, Robert, can you try and test?
Testing. Can you hear me now?
Okay, no, we tried.
Yeah, because they plugged it into the headphone jack. For the audio. Right?
Let me try and dial in.
This one. Oh, I hear it here.
Recording in progress.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, no, it's on the computer. Yeah.
Okay, I
Okay, I
muted my
muted my
computer.
computer.
It's,
And
no,
I have
it's
my
on the-
phone
it's
on.
on
Does
the
that
Does
work?
that work?
It's too soft.
I can't.
I can't, unfortunately.
No, no, this is the wrong one. Yeah, they're not gonna want that. Yeah, they're not gonna want
Plug it back in. We're still having trouble hearing me. Is it recognized?
Hey Nate, can you do the test?
Test. Test 1, 2, 3. Test 1, 2, 3. Oh, there's
Okay,
also an
thank you,
echo
Nate.
that I'm getting.
We're still not working. We're having technical difficulties. One moment. Go ahead.
Robert, can you hear us?
Testing, can you hear me now?
Oh, we can't hear you. I think Dr. Thielen was saying the suggestion. I don't think you heard. Robert, can you thumbs up or thumbs down? Can you hear Dr. Thielen? If you speaks.
So if it's acceptable to you, Robert, what we can do is have John run the meeting. We'll have the chat open, so if you have questions or comments, you know, please type them into the chat and you can see that on our screen. And then we can start while people are still working on trying to figure out the sounds.
All right, well, we choose to know. I will call the meeting to order. We'll begin business improvements and partnerships. Please come to order. The time is 1:12. And we'll do roll call. So Chair Robert Maderos is present online. Michael Robinson is excused. Houston, Senator Mauer is present, and Carla Hauser is present. Okay, hearing that members are present, we will proceed to a few housekeeping matters. Members of the public will be allowed to provide oral testimony on all items and will carry out in two ways, remotely or in person, here at Mission Memorial Auditorium. Remote and in-person oral testimony will be allowed during item number 5 on the agenda. Before testifying, each person shall state their name. The speaker will not have anyone else read their statement and is limited to a 3-minute presentation on each item. When your name is called, please monitor your screen and activate your audio feed when possible. Knowing that we have technical difficulties, if anyone is online, questions in the chat box. I will then give persons who have not registered an opportunity to offer testimony. Please utilize the raise hand feature in the forum. Once all the will testifiers have testified, I will proceed in person testimony and wish to more. Persons who have not registered will be given the opportunity to speak following the oral testimonies of registered speakers. Written testimonies, including testifiers, address, email address, and phone number will be available to the public described on the posted agenda. And as a courtesy, please turn off all cell phones. All right, so we are going to go to our first item, item number 1, TPR vignette, and it's the maintenance support services team.
Director, you can try, Robert can try now. One more sound check with Chair Maderos can try to speak now. If you can unmute
Testing.
yourself and see
Can
if
you hear me
have-
now? I'm testing.
No. Okay, so, just leave it on mute.
Oh, he's on the bottom.
Oh, okay, it's on the phone as well. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and call Robert Maderos, so I'm making support systems, who's going to give the PPR report. Sorry.
What are the chances of that?
Certainly, Roberts.
Good morning.
Trudeau, short straw. Well, we had this is about a bridge, a very dramatic bridge. We have 5 botanical gardens. One of our botanical gardens, Wallachia, which is on the river side. We had a footbridge that was there. It was built originally when the park was built. It was built out of wood. And at the time, it rotted out and started to fall apart. So we had to close it. And what this bridge did is it got pedestrians and fishermen from one section of the park over to the other side where they could fish. And so it was kind of urgent thing to do. We started looking into FRP type bridges, that would be fiberglass reinforced paneling bridges. And just the logistics was getting crazy. And the design of the building But if we had to put it out for CIP or something like that, we probably wouldn't see a bridge for years. So, what MSS decided to do is, talk to some engineers, and we got engineers to get, put some plans together for us. And basically, we constructed a 50-foot footbridge and installed it from basically the nuts with the stem walls being put in, and these are, structural bearing concrete. And now we're almost at the end of the project, and we're happy that sooner or later the fishermen can be going back and be fishing at the Omaha Hill Gardens.
Oh, wonderful. All right. This is something for your presentation. Members, we're going to move on to agenda item number 2. It's a discussion update on the Department's Finance fiscal year 2025 budget. So,
Thank you, members, and so I'll take that item. The board chair, John Long, had suggested several standing committee items, one of which is the budget, and then the next is the personnel. For the budget, the council did just pass the budget. We will be providing the budget at the next full board meeting in July and going over it in a little bit more detail. But I'm happy to let you know that our budget passed. All of the requests we made were supported and more by the council because they're very supportive of parks and the gardens in general. The big thing that we focused on this year, as we have in recent years, is on equity, and especially around the maintenance. And we had proposed a new type of staffing for some of the understaffed regions to allow us to have some extended day service. And we'll be able to give you more information at the July meeting when we have the budget in front of us. But overall, this was very good for the park department, and so we continue with a steady plan of growth and equity improvements.
fantastic, congratulations. Thank you to the council members. Any questions for Director Freeman? Chairman, there are some questions if you have. All right. Thanks very much. Next item on the agenda is an update on the department's hiring initiative and new goals and status of recruiting efforts for executive service division. So we have 2 parts to this one: with the update on the DPR hiring initiative, yearly goal, EST administrator, and ASO. And then part B is executive services division status on the recruiting efforts.
Good afternoon. My name again is Francis Douglas. I'm the Parks and Recreation. In front of you, you should already have our current hiring initiative as of 6/12/2024. It currently lists our current hiring initiative that's in tandem with the city's hiring initiative as well. I'd like to happily announce that as of the 12th, we have reached the city's goal for Parks and Recreation hiring 100 positions. We continue to hire at a very good pace. And we continue to fill our positions in a proper timely manner.
I'm sorry, so the sheet that we're talking about is
It's a long sheet called Department of Parks and Recreation hiring initiative.
It's in your packet. You're correct.
And then currently right now, our current issues as far as the hiring is still coming up with candidates from the city, as well as internal applicants as well too. With the job seekers market right now, we're having a hard time finding applicants to apply within the city. I mean, this is citywide, including the Department of Parks and Recreation. But we continue to fill pace, and we're also happy to announce that we've been working very well with the Department of Human Resources and the City Services departments to try and expedite all of our positions very quickly. It's not a perfect process, but we are still filling these positions as quickly as we can.
what's the average timeline to this whole post to hire?
Again, hire any time between 3 to 4 months. That's on average right now.
And about how many positions?
Currently, right now, we have 152 vacant positions. So since the last update, we've had about 243, I believe, positions. We've increased the amount of vacant positions by 15 to 263 positions now vacant. We're facing a very high turnover, but we still continue for the positions.
I'm sorry, you said there was 152 vacant, but now.
No, currently right now we have 152 vacant. So, the last update that we've given, we had about 240, I believe it was 243 or 240 positions. I'm sorry, I can't remember. We've increased about 15 positions that are currently vacant as well throughout that time. So we fill as much positions as we vacant.
Any questions from David? Person. Are we, so if I understand correctly, we had 152 vacant, currently living. So last month, we were 243, 263, but we filled about 100 positions.
Throughout the period of time between February and now.
But we also lost some. It'll be 500 positions. So.
Correct. So as far as we've been filling as we're vacant as far as we're filling. So we've been trying to fill this position as quickly as we can to reduce vacancies, but unfortunately the vacancies still pop up, which contributes to the amount of vacant positions that we currently have.
It's a tough situation. Is that normal for household rate people who hire?
For as long as I've been with the city, I've only seen this, as far as I know, in the last.
So the information the Department of Human Resources has shared is that prior to the mayor starting the hiring initiative, the city as a whole was on a net loss. So more people were leaving than were being hired. We have the mayor's hiring initiative that slowly started to turn that around, where we have a net positive, but it's not, as large as we would like, but it's definitely moving in that direction.
And are we doing the exit surveys? Besides the discussion.
We have a spreadsheet that's currently developed by the Department of Human Resources that provides some of that data. But within the department, I believe that we're trying to make those types of initiatives to find out more information. So,
if it becomes available, you can share that with us. Any other questions? Robert? Only the second component.
yes, I would like to also report that as far as the executive services and for the summer fund program, we've hired about 694 positions in total. We are currently on track and filling more than 700 positions for the summer fund program, which that's in trackers that are still currently processing. In front of you, you will see that spreadsheet that details how much we've hired within each of the districts. District 1, East Honolulu, we've hired about 176. District 2, West Honolulu, we've currently hired 151. District 3, which is our neighbor areas, 118. The District 4, neighbor areas, which is 129. District 5, which is our central location, is about 81. And within our recreational support services section, we've hired about 39 positions.
And so past issue, now was that put you guys at capacity for the number of positions?
That I would have to leave with MRS.
Any questions from other members?
On the sheet that we received, I see that there was not a recreation director hired for the Keyword community, District 3. understand that, is it that that position wasn't needed, or is it that that position is still open? Just clarify on that.
Well, we hire the recreation directors and even our contract positions based on. I currently don't have the stats of how many positions we are currently looking for within each of the district. What I have here is what was reported for hired so far.
Thank you very much. Other questions? Thank you so much, Francis, for sharing this information. Thank you very much. Okay, next, members, next we have a presentation on park minutes. I feel like I'm ready for karaoke and I want the microphone. I don't want to clear out the auditorium, that's not my sport day. But members, with your indulgence, after each subject matter, I would like to open the floor up for questions by the board. Any questions that I can formal? Okay, great. Well, let's go ahead and start with the presentations. We have part A is the introduction and
So thank you, board members. So we're going to get into the meat of the committee's agenda, which is putting together maintenance standards and service frequencies. We have identified 4 areas that the department is going to begin with: athletic fields, trees and green spaces, playgrounds, and bathrooms. And one of the questions that I thought early on was, why don't we just start with service frequencies? And part of the reason is, what we realized in looking at the other departments that have service frequencies or maintenance standards, we're going to come up with something really unique for the Department of Parks and Recreation from a lot of other areas. So I'm going to direct your attention to handout 1.1, which is the introduction and overview. And then after I provide the introduction overview, we're going to have various staff come up that are working on different parts of this. But the bottom line is, the Department of Parks and Recreation, we've gone over with folks before, is a very, very large department. If we were looking at every park department's population, we're probably about 10 in size for the population we serve and the types of facilities we have, and also the geographic area that we have. So as we looked at it, we realized that we're not going to have a single service frequency based on how we're structured and our size. So in that handout 1.1, we have more information on pages 3 and 4, but I'll just touch on it in the overview. But one of the reasons, listed about 6 reasons down here that we'll have different service frequencies. One is based on the different types of staffing that we have for different parts and botanical gardens. So at one end of the spectrum, you'll have Kapiolani Regional Park or Ala Moana Regional Park. These are 2 parks that have 2 shifts of staffing. So Ala Moana has grounds maintenance coverage from 6:30 in the morning until 10 p.m. at night with 2 different crews. Kapiolani Park, which takes care of the regional park as well as the Waikiki parks, their staffing extends to 11 p.m. In other parks, you may have district parks with staff that are located there. You may have specialty parks like Central Oahu Regional Park that have dedicated equipment. And then you may have small mini parks or mini parks that are serviced by roving crews that are in trucks without dedicated equipment. So just the fact that we have this wide variety of staffing and types of parks, we're going to end up with maintenance standards that may be service frequencies that are to certain levels of staffing. Another variation is going to be the distance between parks. So what you'll see in handout 1.2 is that map of the island that we would like to show, which has the color coding for the different park districts and then also the location for the botanical gardens. But as you can see, districts 1 and 2 and 5, which are red, green, and yellow, they're fairly compact and can be traveled by mowing crews and roving crews fairly easily. District 3, which is the purple, is larger and has a little bit more of a challenge. District 4, which is in the running the entire Windward Coast and the North Shore area, largely the two-lane highway, in a very, very trafficked area, for people going out for the surfing and other things. So your maintenance standards may vary by distance traveled and geographic region that they're in. Lastly, there's a variation in the amount of staffing, and I mentioned on the budget that we've been working towards increasing equity in our staffing. You folks have seen some of the tables on that. We'll go into that in more detail next month with the full board. But there may be, at least a baseline, some variation based on current staffing patterns. Staffing is set by budget. We cannot unilaterally move a staff position from one location to another. So what we are trying to do is build towards equity with budget additions over time. The fourth reason that we may have different baseline standards is the variation in the number of skilled trade staff. For the trees, that's our agriculture staffing, the arborists that we have, and then for the maintenance support services, it's going to be based on levels of staff that we have for different skilled trades. We also have variations between the amount of equipment and then variation in communities' ability to support by doing things like adoptive park or stepping out with different types of athletic field maintenance. So we're going to be going over today with baseline work that the staff is doing to be able to pull out baseline standards and then also to conduct surveys so that when we get the current baseline, we're able to factor in these variations. So we're not inadvertently coming up with an average baseline service, that doesn't consider these different factors. Once we're able to do that, then we can start to work on where we want to fill in gaps, improve baseline services, and what's needed to do that. So what we want to present to you today is the draft surveys that we put together and the draft lists that we pulled together, and then to get your input from each of these things that we're working on so that we can make sure that when we do go out and start the survey with staff, we haven't considered all the elements. We folks bring in the perspective of the general public, which would be very helpful for us because a lot of times, we assume people understand certain things that we work in with day in and day out. And so we really need to rely on this and appreciate your thoughts. So I'd be happy to take any questions on the overview before we move into the actual items.
Robert has a chat.
There's a question on,
Question.
Just curious as to how we ended up with the variation between parks regions. Is it due to timing? Is it due to timing? The parks were brought on various years, or is this more planned? Is this a more planned?
Thank you for the question. That's an excellent one. Dory, if you could go back to the map, that would be helpful. I think what happened is as the island population has grown into areas over time. So what you can see in the map, the more urban core areas are the green and red districts 1 and 2, which is urban Honolulu, East Honolulu, and West Honolulu. And then certain portions of the Windward, Kailua, Kaneohe, and some of the North Shore. And then people started to spread out into Marilani. This is a fairly large planned subdivision, and then spreading out the population more into other areas. But when Honolulu was young and had a growing economy, the city invested a lot into the development of parks and facilities and infrastructure in general across Hawaii. But then as the population started to grow out into other areas, things like the second city of Kaka'ako and the other areas, the economy was more up and down. And so there hasn't been the same investment in that infrastructure. So the same thing happened with the staffing over time. And it wasn't until we recently were looking at that yellow and the purple currently are 2 districts because we split them into 2 districts. Originally it was a single district. And so when we did the work on dividing the districts, we took a look at the staffing patterns and started to compare them and also consider the number of parks. And that's another thing that's happening over time is the city has acquired property or received the park dedication, but not necessarily added staff to support those parks in the dedication each time that it happened. And so right now we're focused very much on trying to build up the staffing and capacity areas to meet the changes in the population and the reference.
How frequently do you balance or budget composition?
I don't know what happened before this administration. I'm not sure what the last, big push on staffing was, but I would say, what we did under Mayor Blangiardi 2 years ago, when we did the split of District 3 and 5, we asked for an additional mowing crew and an additional rubbish crew and a heavy equipment. So that was adding in, I think 10 to 15 positions total, and then a lot of large equipment, which by the way is under back order because of the slowdown from COVID is still having the supply chain for heavy equipment. And then this budget, we asked for an additional 18 groundskeeping positions for those special units that I was talking about for District 3 and 5. I don't think the city has made that type of investment in additional maintenance staff and quite some time.
So we utilize contractors to support some water districts that maybe harder for our teams.
We have limitations on being able to utilize contractors to do the type of work that we do. We do use contractors to do certain types of large scale repair and maintenance and minor capital improvements. And we can go over that a little bit today with the maintenance support services work that's being done. And then we revitalize the adoptive program because we certainly want to have more partnerships with organizations. And when we go over today, the work is being done on the PO soccer complex field rehabilitation. You'll see the amount of work that's being provided by these soccer clubs as volunteers to that, which is very, very valuable.
Any other questions from the perspective? Thank you so much.
So that's keep you calm and learning.
So we're developing an updated inventory of all maintenance equipment, and this is going to include additional size equipment and margin. You have a draft of the equipment inventory provided this handout over 2.1 to 2.9. You'll notice that some of the costs of this information, but as we continue to work towards gathering information towards out. So by collecting a true inventory of our maintenance equipment, we can establish what equipment maintenance crews need to perform the to-be determined based on service frequencies. And then this will help us paint a picture of how equipment being done for repair or maintenance impacts the baseline, and then what equipment may be needed to maintain service frequency or in the future increase them. You also do what's better than the maintenance and replacement of this equipment by keeping it active. So far, this inventory has been broken down by division and district. The next step is to further break this down by maintenance section in each district. Once we have an accurate view of the within each section, we'll then compare the potential variations in number, type, additional maintenance between districts, sections, and gardens. By breaking the equipment inventory down by section, we'll then compare it to the maintenance staffing in each section. So we'll be able to more accurately distribute equipment as we go forward. Laura's going to see more of that maintenance staffing breakdown, but questions on that.
Questions? So if I understand correctly, then as process will give us a sense of how optimal we are in conditions. Quantity could be online and offline. those things. See, there's no other questions. Thank you very much. So we're going to staff.
Sorry, Ms. Nelson, please. So we wanted to, and I think this is my thoughts on it. So we're just. Put a hand up number 3. So, as I mentioned, we were looking at the districts before, and when we started to break apart the total number of staff, grounds maintenance staff per district, we realized that there was inequities. Part of the survey is going to pull out do we have inequities by district or by section in districts for equipment, and then if there's gaps, we can work on filling those. But going back to the staffing, we realized we had put out the groundskeeping staff by district. We had not really broken it out by section, because each of those larger districts are broken into smaller maintenance sections. And there may be inequities between the sections. We already know, like in District 3, one section in the area is fairly large, whereas the second section on one area is fairly small. What we need to do is to look at the number of parts that each of those sections serve, the number of unimproved labs, the other types of operations they have, and then does that need to be evened out in some way? Should there be a third section in a middle area? And once we have that data, we can start to work with all the stakeholders to determine whether those adjustments need to be made. So what you're looking at in handout number 3, we started to pull this together for the maintenance support services, which is our skilled trade unit. And in that unit, we have 89 positions. We rely on maintenance support services to do certain types of maintenance work. So the field restoration that's being done out at Waukegan Soccer Complex, which is fairly extensive and intensive work that you'll hear about more down the line. Even though MSS has 89 people, not all 89 people can do that type of work. And so by breaking out the different categories of skilled trades, you'll be able to identify what are the types of work that's done that needs these types of skills, and then do we have sufficient numbers of in-house people who can do that type of work in order to conduct it across every single one of our athletic fields on the island. And if not, what would we need in order to be able to do that, and what's the role of the community groups for making that happen? So this is just one example of the breakout. We'll be doing a similar breakout for the horticulture section, the grounds maintenance section of the botanical gardens, and then the groundskeeping section for the park districts, as well as the mowing crews and the rubbish crews. And then we'll be cross-referencing that with the areas that they're responsible for, so that we can kind of see how that may impact the service frequencies on those areas, and what are the gaps that we want to do to fill, to be able to better service those communities.
Whatever the this is the value things back on business wants to
And so one of the people that we want to review next the surveys that they're putting together to identify the baseline frequencies, so that we can then marry those survey results with this other information that we have, and then start to say, okay, this baseline service frequency for this area is lower, but what we're finding is, it may be the reason may be the distance, the reason may be staffing inequities, the reason may be lack of skilled people. So, for example, the mowing crew, they may need a specialized driving ability to be able to take a fairly large piece of equipment, secure it on a trailer, secure the trailer to the truck, and drive long distances to get to that area. And so we may find that, that may be an area that we need to target. So all of this is, we know the city has limited resources, and so we want to be able to identify where there will be the biggest return on investment for improvements in service frequencies. We are, this is gathering a lot of information, and we don't want to be missing it, and have all the information, sit there later on and see, push through it. Everything, so.
So this information is really helpful. And show where. Any questions for our members? For online. Thank you very much. Next, we will use overview of surveys and support service. Urban Board of Government. Sarah, or Instagram.
Afternoon, I'm Tara Kurohata, East Honolulu District Manager. This is Ed Mitsuda, who is the East Honolulu Maintenance Superintendent. So as Laura mentioned, as part of creating the maintenance standards for division, we first need to establish what the current minimum baseline services that we are providing right now. So to determine this, a survey was created based on input from each district. So there was a meeting which all the districts attended, and the input was all taken into consideration, and that's how we created the draft survey right there.
Which analysis?
Number 4.
So it's a pretty long, detailed survey. Let's see. So this survey is actually going to be, its primarily focuses on comfort stations and indoor restrooms and playgrounds. The survey is going to be distributed and completed by all of our line staff or groundskeeping staff, which are either assigned to parks or they're on roving crews. So roving crews are basically anywhere between 2 to 4 groundskeepers that jump onto one truck and they drove to different parks within the district. So they provide minimum services, basically cleaning the restrooms, pulling rubbish, checking for any safety issues. Once they've completed that, then they'll rotate and they'll go to another park and they provide the exact same services. So on the screen, you'll see the draft survey that was created. So we're starting with gathering information on each park district or botanical garden that they work in and which park garden they are currently assigned to. So we have 5 districts and then there's also 5 botanical gardens. Moving on, there's the types of parks. So we have regional parks, district parks, community parks, neighborhood parks, mini parks, beach parks, dog parks, malls, and botanical gardens. And then we're asking them if they're an assigned groundskeeper. So there are certain parks, typically larger parks or heavily used parks, that there will be an assigned groundskeeper to that park. So they will spend their full shift working at that park. And then we also have the roving crews, which I explained previously. So for the roving crews, okay. So for the roving crews, we're asking how many miles they cover. So depending on the district, the geographical area can be significantly greater in some districts as opposed to other districts. So that's going to affect, the type of services, how long they stay at one park, depending on how many parks they have to service. We also have some beach right-of-ways, so we call them realms. So we're asking how many parks that they're servicing and how many beach right-of-ways. So the Rich ways, there's no comfort stations or bathrooms. Mostly there will be rubbish cans there, but they're also checking for graffiti, just things like that.
Is there a separate sheet that also, when you're doing the survey, and factors, putting on this for things, something like that, that to mark that as well, or just sense, is it basically, again, these are things.
So that's done separately through an inspection form that they conduct twice monthly. So this survey is basically just to see like how frequently they're actually inspecting it. You know, we just want to try to get our baseline what we're currently doing now.
Yeah, I have a question actually about the survey and pre-writing narrative basis has been explained somewhat. In reading over these questions and hearing you say that the survey went to maintenance staff and groundskeepers, it just makes me wonder, or I guess I'm surprised, or wondering if, so there are no documents or processes in place that recommend how frequently, say, certain break elements to be service, or how frequently bathrooms are cleaned, or is it up to the respective supervisor, or is it up to the actual team? You know, I mean, I feel like some of these questions are potentially asking things that I feel like you should know. I don't mean, you know what I mean? Is this just to verify that people are actually doing what they're expected to, or are there really no guidelines as to make mistakes? Thank you.
So there's nothing written right now, right? So it's actually going to depend on the district as well as the section that they're working with.
Oh.
Yeah. But you're right. So majority of, a lot of these questions, these are just baseline things that we are doing, but what we're just trying to figure out is how frequently they're doing it. So there's going to be parks that are busier where, they're going to check restaurants 3 or 4 times a day. Whereas, smaller parks that don't get used as much, it might just be once a day. And so that's why we're kind of asking if it's a roving crew or if it's an assigned groundskeeper. So the roving crews, they're not going to continuously go through all the parks every day. So there's typically a schedule. So Mondays, they're going to hit these areas. Tuesdays, it's a different area that they're going to go to. So they're not actually going back to the same park to, like in the afternoon. I mean, we will go back, as needed. So if we get calls or if we notice something, then the staff will be dispatched to go back there and do a re-cleaning or whatever needs to be done.
Okay. Yeah, that's really helpful. So there must be some supervisory position where someone is essentially responsible for making those decisions.
So it would be the district, so the district maintenance superintendent, as well as the section supervisors.
And then how do you know if the frequency is accurate for that? So for example, Ala Moana might have more frequency versus a smaller part, but even if Ala Moana is visited service 4 times a day, how do we know that's enough based on usage and other things to get accurate for that part?
So that's why we're doing the survey, but so like in Ala Moana, they have multiple staff dedicated there. So throughout, and I can't speak for Ala Moana, but I know at the Kealani Park, we do have 2 crews there. And so they're doing inspections. So it might not be a deep cleaning of the restrooms, but they are inspecting probably every hour. And then, our staff is around, so they're all in uniform. So as a public, something happens, the public will approach them to provide services to the health stations.
I guess my question is, when you get the data back, frequency, I guess, will there be something that correlates also back to the level in which the average, how well the client is going to relative to the frequency? So if we come back, that it's found out that bathrooms are about equally compared to what actual usage is. I mean, what we're seeing is how well it's is that enough? It's weekly enough for the standard that is there. Does that make sense? Like, are we able to reconcile the two?
I think, Shirley, the point out is what we probably need to do after we get our baselines is to maybe have some type of public survey or evaluation of the standards, and, what the public find to be a good standard and what they say is not.
Oh, Chair.
Well, this question from Chambers, are we able to eventually connect the results of the survey on traffic users to the park? Is there anything that would be a similar question? Are we able to correlate the amount of the results of the survey with the amount of traffic with users of the park facilities? I think he's asking a similar question in terms of based on how popular or unpopular the facility is getting adequate service and those students.
Because the survey does ask what parts of the building is a survey and then the type of part, we'll be able to tell from the survey answers whether it's a high use part. So
I think you're on to the right track with survey first internally, figure out what your crew has determined is the level of service currently. And I would encourage you to that point of then, possibly taking a few parks within certain communities, maybe open it up to the neighborhood board. This is what we have established as a baseline. Because I'm sure you guys get a lot of calls all the time from the public. This is busted, this is broke. And so to be able to give that opportunity for feedback from the community and that transparency of this is what our groups currently provide, I think is a really good tool to just help bridge some of those gaps between neighborhood complaints and the regular. So, yeah, it's great. Thank you.
So you guys have the survey, so you guys can look that through. So what we're gonna do is, so a lot of our, well, actually all of our line staff or groundskeepers, they don't have computer access. So we're gonna, we're actually gathering all of our maintenance staff together next week for a training. So as part of the training, we're gonna have them, we're gonna just, for our district, we're gonna just have them fill out the survey in person. And then we'll make adjustments as needed before it gets distributed to all the other districts. And then what we'll do once we get the results is we'll manually input them into the computer so that we can track all the answers.
I had this follow-up question that is, once we have the baseline survey, if we were to do something where we get what is the timeline that people would be between being able to identify the need and being able to fix it or address it. And I know that actually learned earlier that there's some budget positions that include us from shifting people around. So just come up with a notice that how what would a public member feel like in terms of English, they report on something and then see change.
I think we're anticipating that this is going to be a process that's going to take a while, but it will likely result in conversations with folks and the public for some budget requests each year for a number of years as we start to pull this together. As we get more information, maybe those requests become more supported by the data and more specific. But in the early stages, we still are probably going to be looking at some broad numbers where it's highlighting the benefits and gaps.
So maybe both level settings and there's this is one, but then also too, maybe there's organizations that volunteers find support that usually
I just have two more things. One is maybe a stupid question. What's the difference between an indoor bathroom and an outdoor comfort station? Because it makes reference to those items all the time.
So our outdoor comfort stations would be like standalone comfort stations where you go to a park, there's no recreation built in, just a bathroom there. So that would be considered outdoor comfort station. An indoor one would be inside of a rec building. Sometimes there's some restrooms located within the rec building.
And then that's terminology you internally use all the time, so the staff members who are asked to complete this, they really understand that.
Yes.
And then especially the bathroom questions, I just studied them, makes me wonder if it would make sense to have maybe one more open-ended question, or you could ask those on the ground, you know, from your experience with this particular type, what is at the core of problems with the restroom facilities? Because I feel like there's certain parts that have, right, where you can clean maybe 5 times a day, and the problem can still persist. This is a deeper either societal or problem that maybe where you can't address, in which case something else would have to happen. So in other words, I think there are situations in parks where maintenance alone and cleaning alone may not suffice. And I feel like that would be helpful to identify those issues, because then something else might have to happen.
We can definitely add that in, because they would have more knowledge of that than us.
That's, you know, something I would ask. Because otherwise you could spend resources and money and do things over and over again, and just gets destroyed. So,
Thank you.
Great job on this. If members have their own questions or comments after they have a chance to review the
And also, what we're doing is also focus on being the liaison between board members and staff, so you can send it to both of us.
Great job, thank you so much.
We talk about the survey of
Good afternoon, my name is Matt Kono. As I said, the service executive for conference. I'm the West Honolulu District Manager. I oversee parks from Kiki to Lahaina, including Alabama and today I'll be presenting on the management of athletic fields and green spaces. Our focus will be on the creating surveys designed to capture differences in service frequencies based on various factors and the evaluation of more procedures. I'd like to begin by outlining the main differences between the groundskeepers and the mooring crews, when it comes to the field. So groundskeepers are responsible for the general relaxing engine and occasional push mooring of our fields and our spaces. In contrast, the mooring crews are there to have a more heavier equipment, such as riding mowers, trailers to the spaces. So the groundskeepers focus on areas that the mowers can't touch, which is kind of around equipment, grasses, buildings, trees. Mooring crews use the larger sit-down mowers to transport to each site using trailer charge. So the groundskeepers, like Tara mentioned, a lot of station one park, this is a big park, take care of and maintain, or they're part of a growth travels to sites section. We have the mooring crews, and then they also travel within the district and maintain specific parks and sections. And additionally, some of our parks have dedicated staff and dedicated mooring equipment, such as copy line, central line. So the first survey that we're trying to create is for athletic fields and green spaces will be for the groundskeepers. The primary goal of the survey is to understand how the service frequencies vary across different types of parks, the distance staff travels, and differences in staff levels across districts and the parks. So the types of parks, athletic fields, green spaces, we aim to determine if athletic fields receive more maintenance than as compared to other services based off their specific uses. And then for distance staff travels, it's kind of the impacts efficiency. So we're trying to analyze how distance that the maintenance staff travel affects the frequency and quality of services. That we provide. Staffing levels, we're trying to compare how different staffing levels in various districts and within environments impact the maintenance frequency. Currently, the surveys are being edited and reviewed by our maintenance management and supervision staff, and the initial data collection starts with the surveys. And data collected will provide valuable insights into optimizing maintenance schedules and resource allocation. Second survey is for physical green spaces for more use. Our objective is to evaluate current mowing procedures and to identify best practices to ensure optimal maintenance of fields and green spaces. The mowing survey is to gather information, current mowing procedures, current mowing practices, including frequencies, techniques, and equipment use. We'll also be evaluating the effectiveness of different mowing strategies on the health and appearance of turf, as well as collecting feedback from maintenance staff to identify challenges and areas for mowing survey again is currently being developed, and data collection from various districts and staff is ongoing. This will help us to develop and standardize best practices for mowing across all of spaces. As you can see, these are ongoing surveys and evaluations, and they're crucial for enhancing management of athletic fields and green spaces. And by understanding the differences in service frequencies, defining our mowing procedures, we need to provide well-maintained and beautiful parks for our community. For your attention.
Any questions for Randy? My only comment is that when you submit the survey, it would be good to understand how well received the athletic fields downtown. Are we keeping in mind how the fields are operated? You've brought up any scope-related questions and staff as well. Ask them how they feel it.
Yeah, I have a thought or a suggestion or two since the survey is I feel like maintenance staff have the best sense of problem areas, and this the bias. This is just the work I've been doing, but I feel like in a lot of the more low-lying or coastal parts, we've seen in the last several years increasing instances of flooding because of coastal overflows, near groundwater pushing up, rising sea levels, and I feel like these surveys provide an opportunity potentially also to identify areas of parks that are so frequently messed up because of weather events, for example, that maybe maintenance alone cannot address the problem and the design change is required. Or, this is just one example, but I feel like there's an opportunity here if you go through the trouble of doing these surveys to also ask for other things that are only tangentially related, sort of maintenance related, if that makes sense, more for longer term resource planning.
Yeah, I think you're right in understanding also too how there's other factors that go into maintenance that aren't necessarily in control fully of our team, but maybe things where farm users are constantly doing donuts and athletic field, whatever it might be. It's really good. The survey will expose and help us understand particularities of that part that maybe help the enforcement involved, whatever it is. Any other questions? Great start, man. Thank you very much.
Okay, that's a good segue into our next presenter, John Garcia from Community Support Services. We do not have inventory of stories and months. And so Johnny is looking on that, so that we'll start on that.
Thanks very much.
And she's, number 5, which is actually a single page, so it's on the back side of the tab.
I'm Johnny Musa, I'm the common supervisor from Support Services. We talked about the irrigation systems in our parks. The department doesn't have a comprehensive inventory of the irrigation systems that are installed at over 200 parks that we manage. We have started conducting the irrigation survey of the types of systems we have in our parks. The irrigation survey will help us identify the types of valves and irrigation heads that are in our parks, so we can have materials in hand to get the done in a timely manner. We currently have several different systems across site. We have a manual control system, automatic timer system, and the weather track system. Manual system needs to be activated by personnel whenever water is needed. Battery system needs to be checked periodically to ensure no vandalism, so that the battery is still operational. The automatic timer system works with a current, time, and date, and it's a watering program that monitors these spaces on a normal schedule. Our new weather track system is a hybrid of an automatic timer system. It does all what the timer system does. It also has a great new feature such as being able to monitor the system's watering schedule, valve repairs, location of the valves to help staff with the correct valves in the field when it's final. And also access the information from the computer desktop. The system also uses the weather track app to let the system know if it should water the field or that. We hope to have the survey done soon to help with our efforts in keeping our parks clean for everyone to enjoy.
Thank you so much. Is there any questions?
Yeah, I have a question more out of curiosity. All of the types of open spaces that DPR is steering from the TV. I want to know better more, all of them using potable water, or are there any examples of using rainwater or stormwater, or perhaps even rainwater? And how there are regulatory hurdles and all kinds of things. But hopefully in the future, we can move away from potable water. I'm just curious if it's all drinking water drinking.
So most of the parks are using potable water. Some of them that have and some good.
Sorry, just to hear that.
So the I know one of them is an aqua system, so it's like recycle water from the sewer, and the other one is water from our the drainage from our canals and streams.
So then would that be maybe something to actually survey the type of water used for irrigation?
And have it first.
Maybe a question of whether irrigation is, I see it says, is there an irrigation system? This is yes or no. Is it needed? Where
some parks don't have systems, so.
Yeah, I mean, I guess maybe the question would be, does the farm need it? It's a great question for the survey. Is there a, if the answer is no, here doesn't need one. Maybe the question is
Where is it dependent if anyone uses the report sports or. But some areas they don't have irrigation system, and that would be like a or so like ongoing. We don't need it. Yeah, we don't need it. Yeah, we can water stuff. So.
I guess I'm just getting towards the equity component in that maybe some partial building already been used a lot, or in the prior area, they didn't have irrigation installed. Maybe the question is, should we look at that and think about considering installing irrigation in that line? Let's go to the question. I did have one other question. Do you guys also inventory, or would you be inventory drainage as well too, in parks? Surface water drainage?
That is part of the irrigation survey, but we do have, having a survey that goes out and takes a look at the food quality of that reference. And there's a lot of factors that are having certain having soil, weed coverage versus not, and things like that, so we get a better feel of which fields could be benefited and put into use, so that takes some pressure on the values. That would be, I think, a more detailed survey on irrigation. And certainly the irrigation can help inform which ones would quicker to be able to install these irrigation in place to sustain this pollution.
Other questions?
I also think this is great because there's a lot of movement right now about emergency preparedness, right? And with wildfires, wanting to know what areas of area, I think it's really good. So I think this time is good for a lot of people. It's very happy. Thank you.
Okay, so next up we have Division of Urban Forestry, which is going to be talking about the tree trimming work that they do in our parks as well as our street trees, which is maintenance and
Good afternoon, I'm Terry Cookit. I'm a horticulture services manager at the Division of Urban Forestry. Currently, our teaching contracts are work order frequencies. And so our focus today is on the agriculture section of the division, which is charged with maintaining all the city street and park trees, including removals where necessary. So you are provided on handout number 6 with the counts and pruning frequencies of our standard contracts. This worksheet represents about 60,000 trees and palms under active maintenance. In addition to these numbers, there is a large number of trees in our botanical gardens and many trees located on undeveloped parkland. We also contract other specialized work that our crews cannot handle due to capacity of equipment and availability issues. So the vast majority of our routine perennial trimming is done by contracting private tree services companies who are on a set list of vendors who are vetted through the purchasing bid process. Our in-house crews work to do selective pruning to address specific concerns, complaints and requests, pruning for department of facility maintenance when they open a sidewalk for repair, things like that. In addition to our routine pruning and trimming, we also receive numerous requests from a variety of sources for tree work. These include calls 24/7 from police and fire dispatch, the general public, to our line, the parks office, mayor's office, emails to the scene, the Honolulu 311 system, referrals from other agencies. So they're coming from enemies. So from these various sources, we receive about approximately 250 requests per month. These requests are investigated and a response has been drafted for each one. Of the approximately 2,800 work orders received to date this fiscal year, 272 were from park staff, 34 from botanical garden staff, 101 were planting requests, 46 were from the city council, 101 were from the Department of Facility Maintenance for that sidewalk repair pruning, and there were 2,395 from other other sources. In that same time frame, we closed about 1,150 work orders. And our current work order system consists of electronic forms that capture the necessary location of request information and a legacy 3-part carbon that we're still partially in effect. But currently in the process of inventorying our trees using federal funding provided by Congressman Ed Case's office through the Forest Service. And in phase one, we inventoried approximately 60% of the trees under our active maintenance jurisdiction. And we're finalizing the contracts for the inventory work to capture the remaining 40%. And once we have that inventory, we're gonna transfer over to an integrated tree inventory and management software, which hopefully will give us a better tracking, as well as the ability to close the work orders in a more timely fashion. So we prioritize our requests and address the emergency work first. Then we address priority work that is urgent but not an emergency, such as our recruiting, like I mentioned, since the sidewalk is open. So you have a hazard situation. We then address the other requests, mostly on a first in, first out basis. So our goal is to address emergency requests immediately, priority requests within a week, and routine requests within 30 days. But at this point, we do have many work orders that have been open for months and some over a year. If the work is not urgent and can wait, we defer it to the routine maintenance contracts instead of using our in-house crews to do the work. As we currently in that section, we have about 38% vacancy rate. So it is affecting our response time. But we are working hard to fill these vacancies. And lastly, we're dealing with coastal erosion and coconut rhinoceros field, which has resulted in us removing dozens of trees, with many more on the horizon. It costs us about $1,000 per CRP pond removal. And that part of it is a special handling, and we have to be much more careful when we're doing removal, so we're not releasing any infestation out to other trees. And if we use it in our in-house staff, it's costing us about $175 per pound for treatment. But that needs to be repeated quite often, as there's not much of a residual effect on that. So that's it for me. Does anybody have any questions?
Some very specific, so I think very good questions here. So for the inventory you're doing, do you have any, this is the goal is to transfer the data into a integrated software package. Do you determine the tree location by coordinates or
It's so the inventory, the new inventory is now GPS located.
okay, that's
So when we receive or someone calls in for a specific tree, we will be able to call that specific tree out and record the data for that tree and how that is tree on the request, the maintenance, and everything right in one place.
That's great. And then the trees we're using due to coastal erosion and CRD. When trees get removed, but maybe replaced either in the same location or if it's coastal erosion in another location, or are we just losing trees? Just there's an effort underway to improve the urban forest and add it into the canopy, right? So that's maybe within part of the city, or
It's still under division, but it would come under the partnership landscape section. So in general, when we remove a tree, it's a tree or a park tree, we do try to replace it. At least one for one, and sometimes more than that, because you're taking out a larger tree and putting in small trees. But specifically in the case of coastal erosion, we're not necessarily putting trees back because they're just going to get knocked over again. And some of these places are retreating so quickly that there's really no place to plant. So that is one of the things that we're working on right now, is like what do we do? Do we plant ground cover instead, or it is on the horizon. That's something that we are working on, actively working on.
And I was mentioned, we try to prioritize things that are more immediate. And I guess that we prioritize things that require threats close to our minds right now, our trees.
not specifically identifying them as fire hazards, but those are the kind of things, like I said, when we get our request, one of our supervisors does actually go out there and inspect the tree to see. And we get a lot of complaints about rubbish, and so we'll go out there and the tree has to be just improved in the last few months by the contractor. And while we, empathize with them that maybe we don't want to clean up the leaves or whatever, it really doesn't work like that. Versus other things, we can go out there and find the tree is half dead, so we have to come on and look for other things. And we also unfortunately often find vandalism, and we actually see boreholes where they drill into the tree, and a lot of times they put like pesticides and herbicides into the tree to try to kill it, or they cut it and debarked it, things like that. So we make a police report on that, but we've never once gone to execution.
So when street trees damage city sidewalks or curbs or the road bed, is that your division's responsibility, or are you bringing that to the Department of Design and Construction, or whose responsibility is that for the repair or the remove? The repair. So
there are some CIP projects, because they were so far behind, I think they were like 5 or 6 years behind. They have been doing large scale CIP projects to go into the neighborhoods and do sidewalk repair or road pavement repair. Curb and gutter type repairs, depending on the side. So you have that going by contractors. It's so those are the TDC contracts or DFM contracts, facility maintenance contracts. And then there also is sidewalk repair done by the in-house facility maintenance crews. And those are the ones that are coordinating them. So if they have a contract, they're required, they hire a contractor, and then that contracting company will do the permitting, do the removal if necessary. But if it's in-house, then our crews actually do that.
Well, I'm learning so much to use, right? In the spring inventory you're producing, is there a category or check mark or something for trees that are about to or that are at risk of damaging sidewalks or causing a hazard or something? So this could all be done within one, inventory process. Or is that lots of need for
the contractor operates, they're not necessarily versed in that area, so what they are doing is a quick assessment for us, so that we can get reported right away if they see things that need to be addressed. We'll go ahead and address them. This tree is dead or dying, then we'll go on and check it right away. That is part of the inventory process. But we do coordinate with we work closely with the Department of Design and Construction on facility maintenance. So when they determine that when they open a sidewalk, then we come in and do all the tree work necessary before we close it back up so that we can address those concerns.
Any other questions for Terry? Thank you so much. Mr. Sinclair. How many minutes since the last time we saw you?
Better not.
All right.
So, Bob will cover the end of number 7 and 8.
So, just so you know, I'm the Department of Parks Building and Maintenance Superintendent. So before we go into MS, maintenance and supporting services, just want you to know the 5 districts and the first 1 and 2 district, which is the red and green areas of your map. They have 4 BMRs, and then the other 3 districts have 2 BMRs. So BMRs is a building maintenance repairer. So they're basically the jack of all trades. So whatever they can't do, then that comes to maintenance support services. We do the basically heavy maintenance slash construction for the Department of Parks. So if you look at slide here, it represents what you can see for the far left is special projects. Now, special projects is something that's never been in a park. Say, district wants a bench, picnic bench here, it's never been there before. Then they would put in a special project, so we call it project request in, and we would then take that into consideration and install it. As you can see, just on those, just for this snapshot for this year, 2023, we had 412 of those and 5,200 man hours. Vandalism is pretty heavy in the parks. As you can see, we had 538 resulting in 2,000 hours. And for just wear and tear, 5,000 and resulting in 65,000 hours, man hours. Basically, maintenance support is, like Laura said earlier, journeyman trades and specialty grounds improvement people. Any questions?
Just out of curiosity, for the AC and the special projects, there seems to be a lot of those, what is it, that rock walls?
Yes, anything that that has to do with rock walls, concrete molded units, which is ceiling tile, ceramic tile, curb repair, anything that results in that.
Another example would be one of the top requests that we need is to be able to view off and lock compensations, standard compensations, because at nighttime they're walking that track, or for people to hang out in the park all night. So that would be an example of a special project. If we don't have these compensation, we are often have different sized orders and have to manufacture something.
Also another tool in our tool belt that maintenance support services or program, which is handout number 8. You can see just for the year 2023, I don't have the total here of what it was, but it was in the millions of repairs done through what we call master agreement. It's where several contractors get on an agreement with the department, and they can they all bid on that, and we don't. It doesn't have to go out to general bid. So, and some of the master agreements included fencing, asphalt, and roofs, and it's just does immense work. Yes, and heavily subsidizes the trade section that we just covered.
Do we have a deferred CIP or deferred list of what is outstanding?
Not support in the current year budget, which is about to end, to start to set up an asset management system. The funding is not sufficient for us to do a comprehensive one, but we're going to begin with roofs of buildings, because when we especially with some packaging needs that damage the contents, so wooden chip floor, and bleachers, the repair would be extensive. So we want to focus on targeting maintenance where we can and starting to schedule the replacement in the calendar. So our executive services division has been feverishly working to get a professional services contract locked down and encumbered by the end of
this month, so that we can be doing that for next year.
So I think giving us a sense of like what's the backlog work, and it really gives testimony to the amount of work you guys are doing to see this model being done. I'm sure there's a lot more that has to get done. Perspective on that, we're working for budgets and everything. It's really something what needs to get provided in the organization. So
And whenever you speak to words, the bidding, I can immediately think to my mind, it's the Adelaide Community Park, the boathouse, and it raises the question to me, is there any process in place where you keep track of, say, building age and when the structure reaches the end of its serviceable lifespan, when it may not make sense any longer, take care of, for example, because it's flooded constantly or will be. So is there, other than just repairing things as they break, is there a comment somewhere where the department sort of decides not to or remove the structure or rebuild it or anything?
That's part of that asset management system that we put in, so the contractor will be putting out what was the original building plans for the routes. Again, we may not have funding to do all of our routes, but we identify which buildings to start with. So the original building plans, original building materials, any capital improvement projects, any of our own maintenance support services, either contracts or repairs that we've done, going out and inspect the roof, so we have the life of the building, and what's the anticipated replacement date, and what is the repair schedule that that individual roof should be on, and then keep repeating that for the 600 plus structures we have had, so that we then be able to put things onto the schedule for repairs and capital improvements. Currently, the city does not have that, so we have an example of one out each part where we have compensation that's basically out now, and we are going for a replacement, but we didn't start that process until we actually put the foundation. So we're catching up, which is not the situation.
Any questions about? Thank you so much.
And board members, thank you for your patience. So we've gone through a lot of the work that we're doing on the baseline service frequencies. We'd like to have one more person coming up to do a presentation. This is work that we've been doing out at the Kilo Soccer Complex. There is a regional soccer tournament that's going to take place at the end of this month. And some of the folks putting that on approached us last autumn and said, the fields are really not in good shape. Can you work with us on doing rehabilitation? And we've done a fairly extensive rehabilitation project. Caesar, who's been the lead on that side, within the maintenance support services, is going to go over the materials that he put together along with some of the other field complex staff on the volunteers. But it's going to give us an idea of what the cost is and the effort and inputs into rehabilitating soccer, football, or multi-purpose field. We have similar projects that we're doing in Central along the regional park for ball fields. We started that last summer, and so then we go and quantify the work that's done this summer, so that we would then have a rough estimate for the rehabilitation, which is the intensive work to bring it up to minimum levels, and then putting things onto the cycle for routine maintenance on a regular basis, so it never gets to what the condition is at now. But Caesar's going to talk a little bit about the work that's being done out in that field. Share that.
Well, board, chair. My name is Cesar Manuel. I'm a track grounds improvement supervisor, which consists of labor, chemical, and utility crews, heavy truck drivers and construction equipment operators, and also a night shift of the beach cleaning. Second to the last page in the handout is the items I'll be discussing. This is for the Whitefield Soccer Complex Field Rehab Project. The first item I'm going to be discussing will be the MSS labor chemical utility costs, which ran from October 3rd, 2023 to 5/30/24. We still have some costs to incur. Preparation for the 2024 US Youth Soccer Far West Regional Championships, which will be held June 21st to the 27th of this month, consisted of the following cost breakdown of the renovation project for 22 total soccer fields, which include the stadium. This consisted of the initial aeration of the fields for drainage to prepare for the rainy season in the late fall of 2023. January 2024, the first application of boom spraying of herbicides for broadleaf weeds and also the undesirable grasses consisting of goose, grass, and low grasses throughout all the outside fields, including also the stadium. Fertilization of approximately 25,000, followed for the recovery of the existing turf and regrowth of their areas. Weed eradication consists of 3 applications of boom spraying of all the fields, which also include the spot spraying and stadium turf. In April, deep aeration and leveling of the fields consisted of top dressing of bare areas and low areas with donated washed beach sand, consisting of 100 tons at a value of approximately $16,000. In an additional 29 tons purchased and applied following the 2-week heavy rain event in mid-May, where we experienced a lot of washing and also flooding. At the end of April, for the month of May and also June, a collaborative decision with DPR and the soccer associations were agreed upon to terminate all play, including weekends and scheduled tournaments, for the recovery and regrowth of turf throughout all the fields. Seeding of all bare areas affected by the extensive weed eradication with common Bermuda seed and also annual and perennial rye seed to help grow bare areas as the Bermuda grass germinated, matured, and moved. First initial fertilizing of $25,000 of all the fields applied for regrowth in May, followed up with final fertilizing of all fields returning to play in post-recovery in the second week of June. Pre-emergence weed herbicide is to be applied in September. Upon the establishment of mature Bermuda grass and for the management of new weed plants. Items of high cost, approximately $20,000 for herbicides, approximately $10,000 for Bermuda and rye seed, approximately $50,000 for the slow release fertilizer, approximately an additional $5,000 for top dressing system. That was after the heavy rain events. And the pre-emergence herbicide to be applied in September at a cost of just roughly over $16,000. So for the MSS labor chemical and utility costs, it's $206,000 $206,029.98 for the 22 fields. The next section will be the MSS heavy truck driver construction equipment operators involvement, which totaled up about $45,000. Support consisted of delivering materials which included donated top dressing sand, recycled sand, and topsoil. They also operated heavy equipment to assist MSS irrigation crews with doing additional installations, loading of the sand into the top dressing equipment, and operation of the heavy duty rollers to assist with leveling of the fields. With that was the $16,699 in donated sand from the various soccer associations. The next item we'll be discussing is the MSS irrigation technicians, who was supervised from joining with MSS. This at this time totaled out at $46,548. Projects include installation of additional irrigation zones to resolve the surface crack of the clay soil plain surfaces throughout the fields 6, 7, and 8, where additional watering was needed to prevent the surfaces from drying out and cracking. Repairs, upgrades, and modifications of the irrigation system was also included for the regrowth of existing Bermuda grass and also in the bare areas where we need to see it. And then, so total cost overall for the project is $6,124, $298,000. Also included with that is the volunteer time. Sean, Regional Park Manager, coordinated the volunteer scheduled times and training of the scheduled work to be completed in the Whitefield Soccer Complex. Community volunteers played a crucial role in enhancing the park. We work with dedicated individuals, coaches, league organizers, and players, both adult and youth. The result was a benefit to all. The past fiscal year, we had 155 volunteers, and they volunteered 2,640 hours. This is the last page of the handout. Majority of the time was spent on hand pulling the weeds, filling the divots created by the weed roots. Other volunteer times also used to assist with painting projects and picking up trash throughout the complex. More soccer organizations are interested in these community give back opportunities, and we intend to expand volunteer opportunities to those who are interested, including HBU, UH, and other visiting soccer organizations. Revenue, Whitefield Soccer Complex revenue. The monies collected for permits are used for equipment, materials, and supplies to be used specifically at Whitefield Soccer Complex. This is a separate account, so the money does not get mixed in with the city's general fund. Monies for the special account do not lapse. In the past, a set amount was carried over if it was not used. Also, in the past, these monies were used for capital improvement type projects. But moving forward, we would like to use these funds towards the annual field maintenance at Whitefield. So this year's field rehab project, now we know what the estimated cost per field is. Moving forward, we would like to work on 3 to 4 fields per year on a 5-year cycle for the 22 fields. Based on last year's actual revenue, we can cover the cost using the special account.
No questions? So I just have one, so the 290,000 that we spent, is that so from that one field that we moved to ISD?
No, that was general operating funds for assess.
And was that the plan cost or was that
No, it was not. The project was started once we were awarded the Far West Youth Championships. And we started moving forward in October of 2023 to have the project to meet the standards that the regional championship was.
We looked at the request as an opportunity to support the work that we're doing through the maintenance standards, because there is going to be a need to be limited in the number of athletic fields, and we didn't know the cost was. So by doing this, it allows us to quantify the cost of another purpose field, and then we go and capture those costs when we do the central along the beach upright ball fields will allow us to quantify the cost of the ball field. We have 221 ball fields and 126 mental fitness fields. So this cost, the rehabilitation at Waipio, the fields at Waipio are usually in better condition than most of our fields. And that's almost $14,000 per field. So we give an idea of what the cost would be to go and do it in an area that is not in as good shape. And then also in the field, these folks are able to take advantage of the fact that they're all in one area, as opposed to having to go to different regions, which is going to take a lot more time. So this goes to some of the work we're doing on identifying numbers of personnel. I think there's 12 people in the unit total, plus 3 people on the beach cleaning. So a total of 15 people that are tapped into to do this work, but they also have other jobs and responsibilities that they have to handle the regular maintenance. So, how do we balance that? So we can identify if we do want to do a extensive and athletic field rehabilitation cycle around the island.
It's great. It's great. That's out.
At the time, we have 3 laborers, 3 utility crews, and 3 chemical applicated workers. So, and we also support all the trades with potable water line breaks, emergency jobs. And assist masons, welders, carpenters, and also we also do the special events. The Honolulu City Lights, Kapolei City Lights, and we has Memorial Day ceremony. So we're also involved in other events for the city.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your input today and the questions and suggestions that you had. So we will take those into consideration. We'll probably amend some of the survey materials. We would like to with your ideas, but also gathering some wisdom and suggestions from the staff as we survey them. What we're hoping to do is to have more information by our next meeting with the maintenance committee in September with some of the outputs from these surveys and information that we have. We're doing this in-house and we're still figuring out some things because we don't have the benefit of some, IT consultant that's going to help us into the database and issue report for us. So we're figuring out how to do things through Survey Monkey or Google Sheets and so that we can compile the results and start to make sense of them. So again, suggestions, experience, individual board members may have with this is really welcome. And then we know that we need to do some additional work, and so suggestions and folks is also welcome. I mentioned that we'd like to do a field inventory survey. We heard that we're in the midst of doing a tree survey. But are there other things that we want to do? I think Sherry mentioned, getting some public input on satisfaction or desire based on levels might be important as well. So, and so that would be happy to take closing thoughts from you folks. So if that's
Questions? I'll just take this opportunity to say thank you to everyone who presented today and those that supported all the presentations. I know it's a lot of work. You guys have already been amazing and a lot of work already. And on top of this, to do the surveys and other things as another layer on. And I really hope that this adds a lot of fruit to your work that you're doing and identify the data necessary to do things even better and more effectively. So I just really appreciate all of your hard effort in this and hard work this time. And I also wanted to just comment too that I'm on another board and it came to my attention here that sometimes staff felt that we didn't approve if we asked questions about things, but I just want to let you know that we're asking questions and comments because we totally appreciate the hard work that you've put in. And part of our job is to continually help to define and give another perspective. So please never take offense if we ask a question. It's because we really have to work with you. We just want to help continue to improve it and help us all do a little bit deeper so that we can all work together. And testimonies. I don't think we have any online or in-person testimony. Is there any testimony anyone wants to provide? Seeing that there's none, that we can adjourn this meeting. So thank you very much, everyone, and appreciate everyone's important time. Thank you, Robert.
sorry.
Thank you.